Welcome back to the Marvel Movie Minute, a daily podcast in which we assemble to explore the films of the Marvel Cinematic Universe 1 minute at a time. In this, our 6th season, we are looking at the Avengers. I'm Andy Nelson from the Next Reel Film Podcast.
And I'm Pete Wright, and today I'm positioning myself for a raise.
Uh-oh. Today we're talking about minute 140, which begins with the Marvel Studios team and ends with the 32 Weta digital animators.
Yeah.
Back on the show for the last time this season, good old Tommy Metz III. Hello, Tommy.
Good old Tommy Metz III. Good old side saddle Tommy. Yes, it's a true pleasure to be here. Minute 140. This is the minute that I wanted to talk about.
Well, I'm glad that we ended up conveniently planning to have you on this minute.
Yeah,
so
this is great.
This minute, we're continuing our... we've kind of finished our second unit. We ended the New York unit, and now we get into kind of the Marvel Studios team, all 43 people at Marvel Studios. Then we start the long run of the visual effects companies that have been involved, starting with Industrial Light and Magic. 391 people on the credits for ILM here. Then we get into Scanline VFX. They're based in LA and Munich. They have 41 people. Although this was a weird thing. There are 41 people listed for Scanline VFX, but the last 3 people are ILM executive staff. And I couldn't help but ask myself, did they put these people at the wrong place in the credits?
Right.
Why are they here? Yeah.
That
was a weird little thing. Oh, well, good.
That's
really?
one of my picks, is an exec, a suit. A real bigwig.
Well, I can't wait to talk about that.
Muck.
Yeah.
After Scanline, we start Weta Digital Limited out of Wellington, New Zealand, and we get 462 people credited to them. So more people than ILM, although we only see the start of them today. We'll actually finish these in minute 141 next week.
That'd be funny if, like, right in the middle it just says, and Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow. We're like, what's happening? Who was in charge of these credits?
Would it be fun? Would it be interesting if they just took the entire list of credits and just like alphabetized it all by last name?
Uh-huh.
Like, wouldn't that be an interesting way to do it? Like, that would be interesting to see. Somebody
That
just
actually
say, screw it.
happened. Speaking of credits and how crazy it could be, 430 Nights, the film that I keep bringing up, my apologies. We had a PA submit it to IMDb, but they did it by last names. And so the very first credit was Alison Brayboy, who's a wonderful person, and she has no lines, and she's in the movie for about 32 seconds. And she's listed at the top, and we had to fight with IMDb to put Johnny Mandy and Dan Fogler at the top of the list. And it took like a while.
What does that fight look like? Like, what do they have a position IMDb on? No, we don't. We don't.
You
do
can't
things.
talk to anybody. It's like a black box. So you just submit things, and it just takes sort of forever. And then they don't tell you when things have changed. And unfortunately, because we're around the world, in some of the different places that were listed, they just used that.
Yeah.
Like the IMDb, the original one. And so it'll say like 30 Nights starring Alyssa Brayboy. And we're like, she's in it. She's just not the biggest selling point. Is all. Yeah. But Alyssa, you're great. Okay.
It is so funny that when that happens, because it is hard to change those credits. And, Pete, a while back, you and I chatted with, I'm going to forget his name, but one of the writers for Clute. He and his brother had written Clute, and we talked to him on the next reel. And after that, he was one of these people who just didn't really understand like the inner workings of IMDb. And so I offered to help him clean up his and his brother's credits because a lot of them, they had been credited for things that they didn't do. They weren't credited for things they did do.
Yep.
And it was a process of, like you just said, Tommy, going back and forth with IMDb, trying to help straighten all that out.
That was Andy Lewis, I think.
Andy Lewis.
Yeah.
Thank you.
There are a couple Tom Metz's on IMDb, and they're all me.
Yeah, that's the other.
But just separate things. They're all like things that I've done, and I've tried to say, IMDb, just make this whole, make this one person, and they just won't.
Yeah,
but that's fine.
It's whatever their system is. It's a confusing one for sure.
Yes.
All right. Well, we each picked one person here. Who would like to kick things off? Pete, it sounded like you were kind of excited to jump into talking about your suit. So should we start with that?
You guys. Okay. Look, there are so many reasons I picked this particular individual. One, yes, because it jumped out at me at the credits that we have 3 ILM executive staff listed in in the weirdest place in the credits. How does that happen? I don't know. But then I started looking at credits, and the one in the middle is Janet Lewin. Now, Janet has been at ILM for a long, long time. First movie Janet is credited having worked on for ILM is Mission Impossible, 1996. Wow. 101 Dalmatians, visual effects coordinator. Deconstructing Harry, Deep Impact, Snow Falling on Cedars, Galaxy Quest, Sweet November, Pearl Harbor, Hulk, Amityville Horror, Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, 8 Below, Spiderwick Chronicles, Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. That notwithstanding, Star Trek, J.J. Abrams reimagined thing, Terminator Salvation, I Am Number 4, Rango. I mean, it goes on and on and on. All the Star Wars movies, Rogue One, all of these things, and now is it pretty much runs. She's the senior vice president and general manager of ILM in the visual effects department, and has an extensive bio that just really does a great job of demonstrating straight up capability. I think it's actually really cool. I don't know what she would have done on the movie. Like, I don't know what the specific, like, what does day to day look like on this movie when you're at that level. But certainly she has an incredible history with the company. It's been there long enough to know where all the bodies are buried for sure. It's
so funny because you listed so many like effect heavy things, and then Deconstructing Harry is hidden in there. Which is very much just live action. I think that's a Woody Allen movie, right?
Yeah. Well, but do you remember there's that one sequence, which I thought it was really funny, where I think he's talking, I think it's Robin Williams, who, because gosh, he's an author, and he's like, it's one of those stories where he's like writing all of his friends into the novel, is my recollection of it. But Robin Williams' character is going through like emotional issues. And I just remember the part was really funny because he's talking about how I just feel, I don't feel in focus. And his character through the entire scene was out of focus.
Okay.
I would imagine that would be probably the one element in that film that they would have been doing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I like this pick just because, you know, we my picks looking at people who worked on Marvel and then pretty much followed James Gunn to DC. This is like because ILM has such an expansive catalog. It's fun to see so many movies that she's been a part of that are Fox and Paramount and Warner Brothers and Disney, and like so many different movies across the spectrum. So I thought that was, I think it's actually, it's neat to see where some of the people who run the thing clearly come from, you know, the work.
Yeah, that's great. Good pick.
That is awesome. Very cool. Tommy, you want to go or shall I?
I'll go. I wanted, for this last minute 140, the one I wanted to try to find a real life superhero. In effect, because this is a movie about superheroes, some would say, I think I found one. Because this guy seems like a badass. His name is Rob Grosser, and he's one of 3 or 4 people that are listed just as their credit is only Marvel Security Team. And I wanted to know what that looked like. And there was no information about it. But I found him on LinkedIn. And LinkedIn says he is the head of the global security and content protection for Marvel Studios, television, animation, publishing, and games. He has been responsible for the security operations and intellectual property protection for all Marvel assets for over 24 years. Can I go a little bit further?
Wow.
Because the breadth of what he's in charge of is, let me just read it. Rob developed, implemented, and oversaw content protection, anti-piracy operations, production security, event security, investigations, disaster preparedness, workplace violence prevention, physical security, executive production, policy development, and due diligence audits for Marvel Studios. It also talks about how he created the system of getting scripts to everybody about whenever there's dailies and having to erase dailies or hide them and all this stuff. He is also in charge of social media threats and managing cases of inappropriate pursuit. I looked that up. That's stalking.
Wow.
So he is in charge of keeping everything a secret, everyone safe for everything in Marvel. And that just seems like the most stressful. Doesn't it seem like he's a superhero? Like,
holy cow,
the amount of people and the amount of things that he is in charge of protecting, people, assets, everything, just seems endless. I thought he was really neat. So Rob Grosser, you're maybe like mean, but if you're not, you seem like a really cool guy. Don't you think he'd have to be kind of mean to be in charge of all of that? But he seems really cool, and I just thought that was really neat because
is really neat.
Hidden under Marvel security team. That's the only thing that he gets, but he is. Yeah, seems like a superhero to me. So that's just why I wanted to point him out.
Rob, if you're listening, Tommy said that, not Pete and I. So he's the one
good point.
After.
As I'm just a rendition to Marvel Land. You see me running around on the helicopter or whatever it's called, the helicarrier in the background, clearly. Not in charge of my own. Yeah.
So funny.
That's really cool. What a great pick.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
For my final pick this week with you, Tommy, I wanted to go to the people who are doing all the work, running around, doing whatever people ask of them. It is the production assistants.
Yeah.
They are often used and abused. And, we've all kind of been there. It's just part of the job. But you couldn't do it without all of the PAs running around and helping out. So I had to pick this one because this is Peyton Rodgers with the nickname Buck.
I saw Peyton Buck Rodgers. Yeah.
So Peyton Buck Rodgers. Absolutely. Peyton Buck Rodgers, who now goes by Buck PBD Rodgers instead of Peyton Buck Rodgers. PBD. He's changed how he is called on IMDb.
Cool.
Peyton Buck Rodgers was born July 16th, 1981. So as of recording this, his birthday's in a couple days. So happy birthday to you, Buck, wherever you are. And as we've been kind of talking about, like with some of these people, it's nice to see as you look at the list of credits, how things shift over the course of their careers. So starting as a PA back in Factory Girl, 2006, George Hickenlooper's film with Sienna Miller, Guy Pearce, and Hayden Christensen. That was Buck's first film credit. And then I Am Legend, Choke, which actually was directed by good old Clark Gregg. And then moving on to Sex and the City, Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, You Don't Mess with the Zohan, and then eventually moving up to Key Set PA, and still doing PA work all the way up until it looks like 2013, 2014, and then slowly started shifting into working as a second assistant director, additional second AD, and has now been, did 15 episodes as the second assistant director on The Blacklist, the TV show.
Oh,
wow.
All right.
So it has been that process of moving up, as we've been kind of talking about with some of these other people, the slow journey through the film industry. And so, yeah, I just thought that was kind of cool to see with good old Buck Rodgers working his way up the industry, and hopefully we'll be able to continue kind of moving into more second AD work as he continues. So, yeah.
That's really cool.
That's my final pick, Buck PBD Rodgers, or Peyton Buck Rodgers, as he's credited in minute 140.
I bet he's nice.
Nice.
I bet he's nice. Absolutely.
Unlike that old grouch. I've lost my mind. I'm done. I can't do it anymore.
That's what happens when we talk about a week of credits. I
can't do it anymore. Please don't make me do it anymore.
I know. Tommy, it has been a thrill. I know you, it's a little bit of craziness, but it has been a thrill chatting with you through all of these minutes. So thank you so much for joining us.
It's always an absolute pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
I haven't been asking, but do you have any other shows that you're working on that you want to plug?
I'm doing stuff for Young Storytellers, a nonprofit literacy program that I am in charge of. We are creating sort of content that can be going out across the United States so people can run their own young storytellers outside of just Los Angeles and New York. And I wrote a bunch of mini scripts for those, and I'm going to, in 2 weeks, start directing some of those. We're releasing them as little videos to put online that teach people sort of how to do stuff, and trying to not be like a lecture series, but more like have some sense of humor. And so I'm going to be on set in Burbank directing some of those.
Wow,
that's really
fantastic.
Cool.
Yeah,
it's so great for you because you're not really one that known as a reader. So it's always been the ironic thing that you're in charge of a literacy group. Yeah. But whatever. I mean, I'm really proud of you nonetheless. You can do anything, kids.
I keep calling them, young story worders, and that's why I'm on this side of the camera.
Yes,
too funny. Well, that is fantastic. So keep up the great work with that. Good luck with the production and everything.
Thank you.
And that's it for this week. We'll be back next week. We've got a few other TruStory FM regulars joining us for a couple of those minutes. And then, of course, we're ending our conversation about this movie next week as well. Wow. So I know it's been a long time, but we are so close, so close. So that's it.
Guys. I'm proud of you both.
Oh,
thank you, Tom.
Thanks. I'll wear that as a badge.
Okay.
All right. That's it. So, Pete, thanks as always.
Steve Sarmento's here next week. Shh, don't tell. I'm going to pick all his picks first.
Until next time, true believers.
Marvel Movie Minute is a production of TruStory FM, engineering by Andy Nelson. This season's music is Message to the World by Anthony Vega, and this season's show art is by Winston Yabo. Find the show at TruStory.fm. If your podcast app allows ratings and reviews, please consider doing that for our show.